Are you looking for the best lenses for bird photography? In this video we will look at some of the 4 best lenses on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. Canon EF 100-400mm f divided by 4.5-5.6L is 2 USM lens. This is the second iteration of the popular Canon EF 100-400mm f/4.5-5.6, and it has many worthwhile improvements from the original version. Canon's first 100-400 was released way back in 1998 and featured the less-than-ideal push-pull zoom mechanism. Luckily, when Canon updated it in 2014, they changed the zoom to the much-preferred twist style. The upgrade also included a new, weather-sealed design, which is ideal for wildlife photography. With this lens, you also get 4 stops of image stabilization to help when shooting in low-light conditions. To fine-tune your settings, there are 3 image stabilization modes: standard, panning, and during exposure only. Standard is intended for stationary subjects and results in your view through the viewfinder stabilized. The same is true for panning, which, as the name implies, is used when tracking a subject moving in a linear manner. The third mode does not allow you to have an image-stabilized view through the viewfinder and instead only applies IS when you release the shutter. It is ideal for more erratically moving subjects. This lens is a pricey option for the general enthusiast, but it has excellent image sharpness with an ideal zoom range. The autofocus is speedy, quiet, and accurate, meaning you won't scare the birds away when focusing and can easily get things sharp. It truly is a great zoom lens for birding. If you are a Canon mirrorless user, the Canon RF 100-500mm f4.5-7.1L is USM is a similar option for RF mount. You get an extra 100mm of zoom, though you lose 2/3 of a stop in aperture when you zoom in. And it is more expensive, but as a newer lens, that shouldn't be too surprising. At number 2. Nikon AFS FX Nikkor 600mm f/4 EF LED. The update to Nikon's 600mm Super Telephoto was released in 2015 and featured some worthwhile improvements. The main upgrade is weight reduction. Though it is still a heavy lens, Nikon shaved off over 3 pounds from the original version of this lens. It also improved the balance of the lens. The original 600mm was quite front-heavy, making it challenging to use without a tripod. This new version has a better arrangement of lens elements resulting in better weight distribution. Though you won't want to hold it for too long because of its weight, it is much more feasible to hand-hold it. Another feature that helps with hand-holding the lens is the 4 stops of vibration reduction. The VR combined with the fairly wide f/4 maximum aperture makes this lens excellent even in low-light conditions. Shooting at dawn or dusk will be no problem. Plus, the autofocusing of this lens is superb, even when light is not plentiful. It is incredibly fast and accurate, which is very useful when capturing skittish birds. Where this lens really shines is its sharpness. It is truly impressive. The saying, "you get what you pay for," seems true here. It is an extremely costly lens, but the quality is incredible. You get crisp detail edge to edge. Sharpness is even excellent when completely wide open, so there is no need to stop it down if you want the sharpest images. Nikon optimized this lens for modern high-resolution cameras, so if you pair it with something like the D850, you will get some amazing results. Unfortunately, there isn't a super telephoto option like this for the Nikon Z mount yet, but the converters work well, so you could put this 600mm on the Z9 and still get excellent images. At number 3. Sony FE 200-600mm f5.6-6.3 GOSS. Sony was a bit slow in expanding its telephoto options, especially in the super telephoto range. So the announcement of the Sony FE 200-600mm f5.6-6.3 GOSS in June of 2019 was a welcome addition, especially for wildlife enthusiasts. One of the more exciting aspects is the fact that it zooms to 600mm, more than other consumer models available. Typically you'd either have to use a teleconverter or spend $8,000 or more to get 600mm, so to get that focal length at a much more budget-friendly price is exciting. And, though it's designed for full-frame cameras, you can use it on APS-C cameras to get an effective focal length range of 300 to 900 mm. Another worthwhile feature of this lens is the all-internal zoom. When you zoom in or out, the lens doesn't change in length. At 12.52 inches long, it's already a long lens, so having that length stay consistent makes it much easier to handle. Also, the zoom ring is exceptionally smooth to rotate. It may even be too smooth for some. It can be easy to bump it to a different focal length while shooting, so you will need to be careful of that. Sony's autofocus systems are already very impressive, and this lens pairs very well with that. It is speedy and accurate. And the autofocus is nearly silent, which is a plus for wildlife photography. It's also a very sharp lens, so you'll get excellent levels of detail on the birds you photograph. Even though Sony cameras have great in-body stabilization, this lens also has built-in stabilization, called optical steady shot, for even more low-light assistance. That extra stabilization is helpful since it is a relatively slow lens at f/5.6-6.3. As a result of the slower maximum aperture, the autofocus won't be quite as responsive in low light, but you will be able to get sharp images free of camera shake even with slow shutter speeds. At number 4. Sony FE400mm f/2.8 GM OSS lens. Though our other premium lenses provide higher focal lengths, this 400mm is one truly impressive lens. Of course, like the other premium options, you'll have to pay a pretty penny for it. But, if you want exceptional quality and performance, it is a worthwhile pick. The wide f/2.8 maximum aperture will help significantly in low-light shooting. Paired with Sony's optical steady shot, its version of in-lens stabilization, and the in-body stabilization Sony cameras have, this lens is an ideal choice for those tricky lighting situations. You'll be able to successfully snap away at birds that are most active at first or last light. And like Canon's lenses, this lens has 3 stabilization modes for different situations, from stationary to erratically moving subjects. It is fully weather-sealed to protect the lens in rugged conditions, which is ideal for all types of wildlife photography when you are at the whim of Mother Nature. And it weighs only 6.4 pounds, in part thanks to the magnesium alloy build. It's quite light for a telephoto lens in this range and will be easier to handhold and carry in your pack on your trips. Like most of Sony's lenses, you get some customizable buttons on the lens body. By default, they are focus hold buttons, but you can change that in the camera's menu to whatever you would rather have fast access to. The focusing on this lens is incredibly fast. It's able to keep up with the impressive frames per second rate of Sony's top-tier cameras. And it's accurate, producing sharp images reliably, even in low light. The 400mm focal length may be a bit wide for some and is a bit better for showing off some of the environment around the birds. However, it is compatible and functions well with FE 1.4x and 2.0x teleconverters for a bit more reach. Or, if you like to shoot tighter, portrait-style images of wildlife without teleconverters, Sony also makes a stunning 600mm f/4 lens.